We've all become used to the fact that every time Donald stumbles, rambles, forgets people's names, wanders off the stage, or just pulls made up facts out of thin air, in other words, lies, people on the right pass it off as if these are just fun little quirks of their dear leader, and not the fact that every single day, Donald Trump appears to be losing it. Case in point, this happened today.
On the roof of the White House, he's taking questions, or he was just a few moments ago. Let's listen in, please.
Looking good, Peter.
Are you going to blow up?
I do.
What does that mean?
What do you? More ways to spend my money.
Can you give us another hint?
We'll show you.
There he was on the roof of the White House in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon, doing what exactly? Nobody knows. I don't believe he knows. Well, the reason the rest of us don't know is because nobody could hear a word he was saying. Maybe he was looking for his healthcare plan up there. You know, the concept of a plan. Maybe he was looking for the next reason to get people to change the subject away from the Jeffrey Epstein file catastrophe. What are we supposed to gather from what's happening here? It seems like he's referencing something, a story, an inside joke that he thinks the rest of us are going to recognize, but everybody on the ground watching was visibly confused. I don't think we really needed much more evidence that Donald is in cognitive decline and clearly emotional and psychological decline, but we have more now. Despite the fact that nobody could hear a word the man said, Donald could not seem to grasp the concept of volume versus distance and decided that it would be the perfect time to try to communicate some important information that he just wanted the rest of us to know. Take a look at this.
Mr. President, what do you want to build? What are you trying to build?
Sir, do you approve?
You saying more missiles?
Are you building missiles? What?
Come on, Dad.
That might be missiles.
Did you say missiles?
Netanyahu taking over all of Gaza, sir.
So there he is, the President of the United States, wandering around on the White House roof, announcing the development of nuclear missile defense for the White House. He didn't do this from the Oval Office. He did not do this in a secure skiff. He didn't do it in the war room. He did not do this through his Secretary of Defense or through the White House press secretary. No. This very important development was announced to the American people because he was yelling at the press from a rooftop, yards away from where they were. And unless they were able to read lips, they had to guess what it is he was getting at. This is just more evidence that when it comes to what Donald refers to as the nuclear, he has no idea what he's talking about, but remains convinced that he does. Let's take a look at this announcement he made from earlier this week.
The space race is back, and this time it's nuclear. Acting NASA Administrator Sean Duffy is set to announce the agency is fast-tracking plans to build a nuclear reactor on the moon. Documents obtained by Politico reveal NASA will solicit proposals for a 100-kilowatt nuclear reactor that would launch to the lunar surface by 2030.
And we're going back to the moon in order to learn to live, to work, to survive.
Yes. He is outlining a nuclear program by shouting about it from a roof and talking about putting a nuclear reactor on the moon. Honestly, the only thing I can say at this point is what the actual fuck. Because we can't pretend that any of this is okay, that any of it is acceptable anymore. This is dangerous. We have the President of the United States on a roof for no reason that anybody's aware of, talking about nuclear reactors on the moon. So, is this just another distraction? Is this just one of his many obsessions coming into his conscious mind? Is this just another instance in which he's demonstrating absolutely zero impulse control? I don't know, and neither does he. Clearly, there are many options here, but they're not mutually exclusive. Again, he's deteriorating cognitively, he's deteriorating psychologically. Could it be something like frontotemporal dementia? Could it simply be cognitive decline due to his advanced age and very poor physical health? Again, not mutually exclusive, and I'm not saying it's one thing or another because I don't have access to him. But I'm a human being who observes things, and nobody who's telling the truth would say that any of this is normal or acceptable. But before we go on, we need to continue highlighting Donald's lack of fitness for office. So please like and share this video. And if you believe in our mission, please subscribe to our channel. Obviously, Donald is adept at embarrassing himself, but he seems particularly adept at doing so on live TV. You could almost say it's a gift. So it wasn't just the rooftop talk that highlighted how badly he's deteriorating. His mental, psychological, emotional decline was also in evidence during a CNBC Squawk Box interview this morning. If you haven't seen it yet, I covered some of his most ridiculous and, quite frankly, alarming statements in a video we released earlier today. But there was one moment that actually stood out more than the rest. And this is where Donald dropped his filter entirely and said the quiet part out loud, which is happening with increasing frequency, about his push for redistricting in Texas and potentially other red states. Watch very closely and pay attention to the last sentence.
You know, somebody gave a good example. In Massachusetts, I got, I think, 41% of the vote. It's a very, blue state. And yet it's got 100% of Congress, 100%. So I got 41% or something. And yet 100% of Congress in Massachusetts. No, it shouldn't be that way. We should have a couple of Congress people, but we have none. And think of this, 100%. In Illinois, we have probably the dumbest of all governors. Illinois, that guy is really the business is flowing out of his state. It's terrible. It's a terrible thing that Pritzker's doing. He was the black sheep of the family. They threw him out of the business. But in Illinois, what's happened is terrible, what they're doing. And you notice they go to Illinois for safety, but that's all gerrymandered. California's gerrymandered. We should have many more seats in Congress in California. It's all gerrymandered. And we have an opportunity in Texas to pick up 5 seats. We have a really good governor, and we have good people in Texas. And I won Texas. I got the highest vote in the history of Texas, as you probably know. And we are entitled to 5 more seats.
I don't know.
For weeks, Republicans, Donald included, have insisted that this redistricting was about competitiveness, not politics. But now, Donald made it very clear on live television that he believes he is entitled to 5 more seats in Texas simply because he won the state in 2024. I think it should go without saying that that's not how any of this works. So why does he think that? Well, because despite being the president of the United States of America, Donald continues not to understand, even into his second term, how the government works. The government he ostensibly runs. He doesn't understand that this is not how America works. We live in a representative democracy, despite the fact that Donald Trump wishes it were otherwise. He doesn't get it. He doesn't grasp it. He doesn't understand it. He doesn't care, or all of the above. Republicans were forced to react in real time. After Donald's interview this morning on CNBC, Congresswoman Lisa McClain was live on CNN with Wolf Blitzer just hours later and had to pivot very awkwardly in order to try to agree with him. Take a look at this.
Texas Republicans are arguing their redistricting push is about making the state more competitive. But you heard the president there say the quiet part out loud that he believes the GOP is, quote, entitled to 5 more House seats. Which is it?
Yeah, well, of course, I'm going to side with the president. Listen, I think what we're doing is right. Is we need to have more representative, more representation, and I do believe the president is right. And I don't think what we're doing is breaking the law. We are just, for the first time in a long time, playing the same game as the Democrats have played for years. And quite frankly, they don't like it and they're not used to it. So we'll see how this turns out. But at the end of the day, I hope we pick up 5 more seats, right? I hope we pick up more seats in other places, because our policies are what's going to win us the seats as well. Not just the seats, but it's our policies, Wolf.
It is Donald Trump who can't keep it together. But thankfully, his own party is starting to pay the price, and that is all to the good. Why? Because this Republican Party has enabled Donald at every single step of the way. They are responsible in large part for where we are as a nation, and their party is getting weaker by the minute. And quite frankly, it would be better for the future of this country and the planet if the Republican Party ended sooner rather than later. So, wandering around on a roof in the middle of the day, spouting out about his nefarious plot to steal the elections in the morning, Donald ended this very eventful and quite instructive day with an executive order signing. He held a press conference to talk about the 2028 Olympics that are set to be held in Los Angeles. Surrounded by his staff, with whom he speaks daily, he couldn't even manage to get their names right. Take a look at his new name for Department of Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem, somebody he knows quite well.
Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Kerr. Says Kristi Kerr. Do you know who Kristi Kerr is? She's a friend of my great golfer. Kristi Noem, she's a better golfer than you. That's the only thing, but you're better at a lot of other things. But I want to thank you for being here, for doing an unbelievable job. Really an unbelievable job.
Yes, indeed. He mistook Kristi Noem, notorious puppy murderer, whom Donald rehabilitated by making her Secretary of Department of Homeland Security. He mistook her for a professional golfer. Now, Donald obviously has golf on his brain constantly, but it is getting harder for him to keep things straight. I'm telling you, I am often wondering if he is even oriented to place and time, because it so often seems as if he is not. And that is not something we should put up with. The President of the United States needs to be aware. The President of the United States needs to be in charge. Let's leave aside for the moment his grifting, his criminality, his cruelty. At the very least, we should expect that the man in the Oval Office understands how this country works and how his actions impact all Americans. And right now, the person allegedly in charge seems most of the time not even to know where he is. Please take a second and like and share this video. It'd be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please follow us and give the show a 5-star rating, because it really does help other people find our content. Thanks.